The Knicks just finished beating the Houston Rockets by the score of 109-94, and I'm here to break it all down. All that and much more on the Knicks Digest. What's up, guys? It's your boy Dariel from Knicks Digest. Just finished watching the Knicks get that big W against the Houston Rockets after that disappointing loss on Monday on Martin Luther King Day against the Orlando Magic. Just some takeaways that I had from the game. First and foremost, I was definitely looking towards to see how the Knicks were going to respond after that loss on Monday. I wanted to see if they were going to come into the game and really, really be aggressive and really try to make a statement and try and get this W and try to put Houston away as early as possible. Now, Houston isn't the type of team where you can take a night off. Houston is actually very much respectable this season by getting the coach of Ime Udoka coming from Boston, and he completely has changed that culture around. Now they're actually a really respectable professional basketball team. Last season, it looked like so much of an AAU team. Players just taking turns on the court, just doing one-on-one isolations. But this season, Ime Udoka definitely has a system. He definitely implemented a culture of hard work, of hustle, of grit. And yeah, I was very interested to see how the Knicks were going to respond after Monday, but I was also interested in seeing the Houston Rockets as a team. I don't really pay attention to the Rockets. I know what their moves are, what they did in the offseason, but I haven't really kept up with them this season. And coming into tonight's game, I knew that they weren't the same team as last season. I knew that we had to take them a little bit more serious. The Rockets they have a lot of talent on that team, man. They're very scrappy. Fred VanVleet, Jabari Smith, Jalen Green, and one of my personal favorite players right now, Alperen Şengün, who's like a baby Joker. I love the way he plays. I believe he's from Georgia. I could be completely wrong, but he's definitely from Europe. But the thing with European players is they have like this stigma of being soft, even though I feel like that's kind of like an old school stigma, because nowadays the European players are actually the ones, if you think about it, running the NBA. If you think of the top five players in the league right now, in no particular order, we're talking Giannis, we're talking Joker, we're talking Luka, we're talking Embiid. Even though Embiid is not from Europe, but I believe this past summer I remember hearing of reports that he was in between declaring American and also France, because he was making a decision of which country he wanted to represent in the upcoming Olympics. And I heard that it was between USA and France, and he decided to go with USA. So Joel Embiid, you can throw in the mix as far as a European player. As you saw tonight, Şengün will definitely throw it on your head. Like, he had 2 posters on Hartenstein, and he has that finesse game. He has the unbelievable footwork. He has the ability to make other players better around him. So he has a lot of Joker in his game. It's just right now, the Houston Rockets, they're kind of in a rebuilding mode. So his name is not really in the NBA zeitgeist as much as it should be. But I was definitely happy, and I was definitely impressed with how the Knicks came out to play. As far as the players that stood out tonight, I mean, the two-headed monster, R&B. I love that ending, by the way. We got Randall with 31 points, shooting 11 of 19 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3, 50%, converting 5 of 6 of his free throws. And then Brunson, 30 points, 11 of 21, 4 of 9 from 3, converting 4 of 7 free throws. The two best players on your team having 30 points and having a really good game is just an amazing sign. But I also want to talk about just the rest of the team and how I felt like this game was very well balanced. I mean, the all-star that we got in the trade, OG Anobi, finishing with 15 points, 5 of 10 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3-point, converting 3 of his free throws. We got Josh Hart contributing with 10 points off the bench. We got Quentin Grimes off the bench contributing with 11 points. We got Dante DiVincenzo, even though on the stat sheet it says 5 points, but I feel like Dante DiVincenzo, man, like, I feel like quietly, besides Randall, he might be having one of the better seasons as far as this season. If you're going to point towards a Nick, who can you talk about as far as having one of the better seasons? Brunson, of course, is going to be in that conversation all the time. Randall, I believe it was, Chris knows the exact date, but I think it was like after December 1st or December 10th. You can make a huge argument that Randall has been having the best Knicks season. But I think like we might need to start having the conversation of throwing Dante DiVincenzo's name in there, because even though tonight he only ended up with 5 points, 2 of 7 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, but I just felt like his overall impact of the game was very, very high. You always felt his presence. He was always slashing. Tonight he had the microphone, so you definitely heard him just be very communicative, talking to the defense, making the defense know that he was there as like the backline defense. And I don't know, man, Dante DiVincenzo, like when we signed him in the offseason, like I was excited to the type of player that he was and that we were getting. But honestly, I did not know that he had a ratchet on him like this. Like he's one of the better shooters on the team. As far as tonight and how the overall team performed, I am very, very happy. I am very impressed. They took Houston serious. They knew that it wasn't going to be an easy game, and they took care of business. And now we move on to tomorrow against the Washington Wizards. But before I wrap up this video, I do want to talk about OG Anobi a little bit more. There was a stretch in tonight's game where I believe OG Anobi hit 2 3-pointers in a row, and of course they were on the opposite corners because OG Anobi, his 3-point percentage goes way up when he shoots a corner three. It got me to think of the trades that Knicks have had during the season and where does this trade rank among them. And I wish Chris was here with me tonight to do this post-game video. But since he's not right now, I'm kind of just thinking out loud right now. And in the next video, I'm definitely going to ask Chris. But right now, the trades that come to mind, we're talking about Carmelo Anthony. I believe it was in 2010 when he came to the Knicks. And I think it was late January, early February trade. Now, as far as name recognition and as far as star power, you would have to throw it up there high in the list automatically. But if we're talking about fit, if we're talking about the impact of the trade, I can make the argument that this trade so far has had a better impact than the Carmelo Anthony trade. Now, Melo played for the Knicks for, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 seasons. I'm not sure the exact number. And Anobi only played in maybe like 10 games so far. So it's really, really hard to compare the two. But the reason why I'm not sure if I want to put Carmelo Anthony trade in there is because Carmelo, when he came here, again, Chris is not gonna like this, but when Carmelo came here, we absolutely gutted our team in order to get him. We had to give up Timothy Mozgov, Wilson Chandler, Danilo Gallinari, and those players were significant pieces of the rotation at the time. And we brought Melo here, and Melo could have signed with the Knicks in the offseason. And then on top of that, if we look at the rest of Melo's Knick duration, what was his best outing? His best outing was the second round of the playoffs. OG Anunoby, we don't know how long he's going to be a Knick. Hopefully he'll be a Knick for a while. And we still have to see what this team can do. We still have to see what the ceiling of this team can do. And the only other trade I can think of right now is, unfortunately, Knicks fans, we're not going to like this, but Stefon Marbury. Again, as far as name recognition alone, that was definitely a big one. Now, as far as Knicks fans, we know what happened during the Stefon Marbury chapter, which was absolutely nothing. But at the time, he was definitely looked at as one of the better point guards in the league. I remember him having that quote saying that he is the best point guard in the league, which was absolutely ridiculous because he had no success, no playoff success, no significant success at that time. But looking at the trade, we got Stefon Marbury, Penny Hardaway. We got a European player, Cesare Trubinsky. And we gave up Antonio McDyess, Howard Isley, Misiuj Lamp, Charlie Ward, and the rights to Milos Vucinic. So, I mean, there's been a bunch of other trades. Keith Van Horn in exchange for Latrell Sprewell. We ended up getting Jamal Crawford and Jerome Williams in exchange for Othello Harrington, Frank Williams, Dikembe Mutombo, and Cesare Trubinsky. Like the Knicks and their trade history, like I keep saying it, the Knicks don't really have a storied franchise. We don't really have much of a rich history to look back on. So having said all of that, and there's a bunch of trades that I missed, but none of them are really up to par with this OG and Anobi trade. Another trade that just popped in my head right now that may be able to rival this is the trade that we actually made last season with one of the Nova boys, with Josh Hart. Now, with Josh Hart, we know what ended up happening. It helped us get to the second round of the playoffs. So we still have to see what the ceiling of this trade, getting OG Anunoby here, what the ceiling of that trade is. And on top of that, we still have to wait and see if Leon Rose is going to make other moves before the trade deadline ends. So as far as trades, it really got me to think as far as like where the OG Anunoby trade just ranks among the Knicks trades and Knicks history. And I just gave you a bunch of trades that are kind of like what was the outcome of those trades? It basically led to nothing, most of them. But that's it for today's video, guys. Leave it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about the Knicks W tonight. Also, leave it in the comments and let me know of a trade that I might not be thinking of right now. And also leave it in the comments and let me know and let the Knicks Digest team know what you guys think of the OJ and Anobi trade so far and where it ranks among the Knicks trades in the Knicks history. But tomorrow we got Washington Wizards. It should be a W. I understand that the Washington Wizards are an NBA professional basketball team, but they are one of the laughing stocks of the league. So we absolutely should get this W, and we need to start stacking these Ws. But until next time, guys, I'll check you out in the next video. Peace.